What I wanted to talk about today, we've heard a lot of big ideas about what smart content is. The big idea, I think, between myself and everybody else who's going to present in the lightning talk is you're going to need an engine to turn content into something that's smart. So I'd like to try to present that and also talk very quickly about a bunch of business cases, because I think, if I remember, hardly anybody put up their hand about semantics. So let's talk a little bit about how it's actually applied. So we are one of those engine producers. We reason over content to understand it thoroughly. If you remember anything about us, Expert System, it is that we built our technology to the algorithms that go across content to mimic a human reader. We literally built them by studying the way that we are taught to read and understand and contextualize as a child starting in about the second grade. If we do that very well, and I'll agree with John earlier, even with very, very accurate kinds of technology, you're still not as good as we hoped it would be. So we don't pretend that we're 100%, 90% accurate out of the box. We're about 80% accurate. We think getting over 90% accuracy is one of the keys to having a rich application of semantic technologies, and so that requires some level of customization around the edges. So the way we've built our platform is to start at a broad base, 80% accuracy, any content, any domain, and then do that last 10%. When you do that, and we've been doing this for 20 years, and we're quite successful at doing this for businesses, the ROI is $1 in and $400 out, and I'll give you an example of that as we move along. What I want to do is try to establish rather quickly the notion of the processing itself. And just as an example, you'll see this crazy sentence up here, my car eats gas when I step on the gas. And we're doing a lot of things with that content. You've heard it said before, earlier today, some categorization, semantic triples, or the action, how words relate to one another. You see all the markup or entities in the bottom left. But the interesting one are the pop-up boxes with the yellow. And the reason we wrote the word gas twice is, can the system understand the context of gas? And the answer is yes. In the first instance, gas is gasoline. In the second, the context is the accelerator or the pedal. That's pretty hard for any machine to do, and do so on an accurate basis. Doing the same thing when it comes to sentiment, if we're thinking about applications now, is even tougher. If you look at the example sentence, the notion of seats being really great is interrupted by something that's in the center, and having a system being able to understand here, you see in the pop-up, that great is referring all the way backwards to the seats without getting it mixed up with the negative stuff in the middle is pretty tough also. To look at some applications really quickly, you see a whole range of ways in which to apply semantics. I think this is something new for all of you. I'll just touch on something quickly with BlackBerry, and I'd be happy to point you in the way that you can actually do this. Anybody in the room's got a BlackBerry. John also mentioned answers as a sweet spot for semantics. That happens to be the product name here on BlackBerry, called BlackBerry Answers. That's Expert System in the background on the mobile device. Natural language question in, how do I change my battery? How do I change the clock? 93% of the time, the correct answer comes back on the device, goes up to the cloud. We untangle the question, look it up, pluck out the right answer, and present it back on a very small screen. All of those things are really tough, but they have to be done fast, and they have to be done accurately. Now, business-wise, we do that 1,200,000 times a month. The value to RIM is $10 a question. That's a question that a human being didn't have to answer. That's a lot of money. And you see the others, which I'd be happy to describe for you over lunch or at another time. And I'll skip over that because I'm running out of time. If you remember anything else about us, we get this 90% precision after we do the customization, and we've got a lot of engineers, and we've done this hundreds of times with a lot of customers over 20 years. So thank you for your attention. I look forward to talking with you a little bit later over lunch.